Hello and welcome to Bettertech. I'm your host, Colin McCarthy, here to explore the dynamic world of tech with you. At Bettertech, we dive into today's transformative trends, connecting with thought leaders to uncover insights that propel success and innovation. So let's get right to it. Let's get started with today's guest. Antonio, welcome to Bettertech.
Hey, Colin, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So to start, could you share with the audience how your role as CIO at USME intersects with driving digital transformation in healthcare and why it is so vital in today's healthcare landscape?
Well, I think being part of IT is one of the most exciting parts of any organization. Fortunately, for being in an organization that serves hospitals and the patients, being part of IT means that we have to look at the whole supply chain of the organization. We are involved in the procurement, in the equipment delivery, in the processing of the equipment, and the sales. We are everywhere, and that makes it extremely exciting.
Right, yeah. I guess a lot of us who intersect with healthcare, just see that the first level are the first provider that we see, and we don't have an understanding or an appreciation of all the technology that goes into the back end, and as you say, the full stack of technology that would be required for all of the employees in that environment.
Yeah, one of the things about being in IT, and the reason I mentioned it so exciting is because normally when you work in an IT organization, your role is about procuring or delivering systems that
Mhm.
affect the internal side of the organization. Unless you're in a retail environment when you're touching the operations outside. But in the healthcare environment, especially in US MedEquip, where we are, when we deliver life-saving equipment, there's
Mhm.
always a human being at the end of the supply chain. And one of the things that's very deep into the culture of US Med is that we always conscious about that person waiting for a bed or a respirator or a piece of equipment that can save their lives. And so when you are part of IT and you look at the business processes and you can bring technology to say, I can fix that, I can make it better. You know that it's someone at the end of the supply chain that is going to get better sooner. Somebody who's going to go back to his or her family sooner. And for for people like us who have a history with family members or personal histories of being in hospitals, we know how important that is.
Mhm.
So it's not just let's provide the latest technology or let's provide the coolest technology. It is how can we provide a service that's going to save somebody's life?
Right, yeah, that's very true. It's in other environments, if technology fails, you miss a meeting, an order doesn't get shipped, somebody doesn't, an item doesn't appear in a store that they want to buy, or a client gets disappointed and you have to, resolve that relationship. Healthcare is completely different because it is so vital that everything happens at the right time. Everybody gets what they need, as you say, at the right time. In your experience, are there any key strategic technological initiatives that are crucial for other healthcare operations when they're looking at transforming their operation?
They are, and there are different angles. Let me start with, I'm going to call it the simple one. The simple one is basically how can we process calls from and we call our customers partners because we are partners in the journey to save somebody's life. So we're looking at an AI technology that can help us answer the phones in a better way. It's not just having a human answering the phone 24 hours, but having technology behind the scenes that can actually take a phone call and help us create the request for equipment faster, better, and in an easier way for the clinicians. So we're 24/7 operations, and being automated through 24/7 will be a great advantage for our clinicians or hospital clinicians.
Yeah.
So and I say that's the easy one because you're dealing with a technology that is very commonly known as chatbots. The difference is the chatbots we're implementing have artificial intelligence behind, so they have a brain. It's not just natural language processing. It is actual learning from the conversations. And I call the easy one, but there's so many things that go around it. Then it goes the next one, which is how can we integrate better with our partners? Cybersecurity is becoming a major issue in the hospital world. And if you've probably seen the statistics, I think about 25 to 35% of the cyber attacks are now geared towards healthcare organizations and their supply chain. So how can you integrate with an organization that is being affected by cyber attacks in a secure way? We have to combine different technologies. So we came up with what we call USME Connect, where we are leveraging technology that exists in the hospitals today with robotic process automation, machine learning, and AI. So a clinician can set an order within EMR system without having to learn anything new. And we can get the order and dispatch right away. We launched that program last October 16 actually, and it's been an amazing success. We have clinicians that they said that we save them 1,000 times their effort in ordering equipment. So for a clinician to being able to order equipment that quickly without any mistakes, without trying to go through different pages of ordering or things like that, what happens is that they can spend more time with the patient.
Right, yeah.
Which is one of the most important sides. The second part of it, because we are connected to the EMR system, what it means is that when it comes about reconciliation of accounts, there's questions. So from an administrative standpoint, we've taken a big hurdle away from their daily task. And on the other hand, we're giving more time to take care of the patient. Now, if you've seen some of the statistics, you'll know that hospitals are really struggling with keeping their nurses and their clinicians without being overworked. So when you talk about healthcare landscape and strategic points of view, our role is to make their life easier. And I think that our USME Connect is bringing a new level of what I call the complexity of simplicity. We have taken on the complexity to make it simple for them.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting you hear talk about the time savings that can be brought about in the healthcare industry. Any business wants to be more efficient and be saving time and doing things more efficiently. And those same business initiatives should obviously, happen, or could be even more vital that they happen within healthcare. I've always been amazed, when I've gone for a checkup or to a doctor, and you see the person there at their terminal. It looks like it was written in Access 97. They have to select so many different drop boxes, for entering this, and it's like, there must be a more efficient way of data entry, or the devices to be able to talk to each other. It's interesting to hear your view on the initiatives that can be done with all of that.
Well, there's a couple things, and also one of the beautiful things about working in a healthcare support organization is that in order to come up with innovative ideas, you just don't need to understand the business process. That's extremely important, but it's not the only thing. You have to walk the patient's road. You have to walk the clinician's road, right? And if you look at the stories inside US Medical, you'll find people who have gone to the hospital and they've seen that equipment that we serve helping their relatives. We are full circle in that sense. And because we know what it's at the end, it's easy to go back to the beginning of the process and start looking at ways where we can improve them.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It must be very rewarding to see, that the stuff that you're working on and providing and building and supporting being out there used in industry. Obviously, you've been involved in a lot of team building and development extensively. How do you foster a culture of innovation within a healthcare focused IT team? And how does this culture contribute to better healthcare services?
Well, it is in terms of coaching, when you hire people that are bring a set of skills. One of the things, and I'm a super fan of Steve Jobs and what he used to say, that you hire people for because they can do the job, not to tell them how to do the job. So I really like to hire people and rely on their expertise to bring new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It's so I let them be themselves. That's the number one. That's why we hire them, right? And what I love to do with the team is really continue challenging them in like, what would you do if? What if you are in such a situation? And okay, or you bring an idea one way. Okay, let's flip it the other way and let's start looking from different angles. So it's a continuous challenging of the way people think. So when we talk about diversity, we're not just talking a single side of diversity. We're talking about diversity of thinking, diversity of feeling, diversity of technologies.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put all these things together and you let people come up with those ideas, it's just like a domino effect.
Right, yes. Running and leading a healthcare focused IT team is obviously very unique and very different to a standard IT team that myself and many others listening have probably got experience doing. What are some of the unique challenges you have faced when implementing with your team these digital solutions within healthcare? And how do you overcome the hurdles when you streamline those operations? Obviously, you probably can't have downtime. There are no, in regular IT, we used to love holiday weekends. We used to love 3-day weekends because then we knew we had additional time to, upgrade the firmware on switches, etc. Inside the building. You probably don't get that luxury. So how do you overcome those hurdles?
I was going to say, what holidays?
Yes.
So there's different things. First of all, there has to be passion for the love for the work that you do, and you have to love it. So there's times that we can relax, and there's times that we can have members of the team slow down. In times, I like when my team goes on vacation that they really go on vacation. We don't cut their access, but we basically want them to
Mhm.
disconnect completely. But in the sense that we are a 24/7 organization, it's very important that you're passionate about it. You have to have a love for what you do. Now, in terms of breaking some of those walls to perform the jobs that we need to do and the challenges that we've been through is that one of the things about some health organizations is they're very traditional. And as you know, bringing new technology to a hospital is not easy because at the end of the day, they're dealing with human lives.
Mhm.
You cannot introduce something new that it's going to cause any disruption. That's why one of my missions had always been to have my team to think about how can we leverage what they already have and bring the level of innovation on top of that where we disrupt the hospitals in the least possible way with something that they feel safe, that they feel that is being tested, that is secure,
Mhm.
and protects the customer information or the patient information. And that's what we did with USME Connect, where we're leveraging the technology that already exists
Mhm.
without having to create new APIs or new other technologies that will disrupt them. We're actually using their technology and again, applying new things like machine learning and AI to leverage their technology. And it has been received with open arms from some health organizations.
Mhm.
There's a lot of noise right now with hospitals that they want to learn more about how we're doing it because it's a very unique path that we have taken. We have conversations with their cybersecurity teams, and when we disclose the new business process, they really get excited.
Right. As you mentioned cybersecurity earlier, and obviously we've all seen all the news reports about hospitals being compromised, surgeries being delayed. Even happened to the local hospital near me in North New Jersey. They had to stop accepting patients for a number of hours because of a compromise. What sort of new technologies are you seeing that are helping healthcare stay secure? And what's your view on the best way for such a critical infrastructure with such a complexity to remain secure in today's environment?
Wow, actually, that's a lot of questions. To be honest with you, in my career, and I've been in IT for more than 30 years now, when you talk about cybersecurity, you always go to the weakest link.
Mhm.
You can, I mean, you've seen all these new AI systems for cybersecurity. You see all these prevention technologies. You see all these things that go around it, but humans continue being the weakest link. You can put all the protections, but when somebody clicks a link or something like that that disrupt or brings something from home that disrupts the whole cybersecurity environment, it's always the weakest link. And you know that you cannot live in a closed environment. Oh, we're talking about a digital world, so you have to interact with third parties.
Mhm.
So I know it's not a technology answer, but it's training, education, coaching, mentoring to other people how to do better. That has I know it's been a long ways to go. The other part of it is, which is very interesting, is that in terms of technology, and I go back to the beginnings of my beginnings in the computer
Mhm.
world, right in the 80s, we always developed software and we developed our own systems based on trust. And I'm amazed how technology has not changed much from there. If you look at the old systems, and I'm talking about history here, one of the most secure operating systems was VMS, on Digital Corporation.
Okay.
Called
Right.
VMS.
Yep.
It's one of the most unhackable operating systems, but it didn't have a market because it was so strong.
Right. I haven't heard of the name digital for years. I think
I
they
know.
didn't they merge with Compaq that then merged with HP.
So I had the fortune in early in my career when I worked for a cybersecurity company called Point Secure that I worked with OpenVMS in securing the OpenVMS environment for banks
Hmm.
and other systems. And it's extremely strong, but unfortunately it didn't migrate to what is today's technology. Today's technology needs to be actually revamped completely from the root so we can stop depending on human behavior.
Right, yes. And that revamping technology is very difficult when there's so much tech debt that you've got to carry on supporting. It's obviously one of the fundamental problems, I guess, if we could go into a whole discussion about Windows and the support that it has to still provide with so much legacy stuff. You've had companies like Apple that have been quite bold in sort of turning away from a legacy OS and jumping to a new one and upsetting their user base. It's very, very difficult to do. And it is interesting that you, like many others, mention that, the weakest link is always going to be the human. It doesn't matter what your budget is for, XDR applications, you're always reliant on an end user falling for or being compromised in some way. If I look at all of the compromises that happened in 2023, none of them were a traditional hack. It wasn't a compromise in a piece of software that was exploited for the most part. It's always a compromised identity. Somebody fell for an attack.
Well, if you look at the famous colonial pipeline, right? The password was password. I mean, so those are the little things that actually will come and haunt you. And some of the things that we've seen in the industry has been always the compromise in the supply chain has been because somebody did not follow the right rules or was not trained properly.
Right, right.
And in again in cybersecurity, you always look at your weakest link.
Right, right, very true. Obviously, you've said you've had such a long career, and under your leadership, you've probably done a lot of these digital solution implementations. Are there any specific examples you could share about how an implementation has enhanced the delivery of healthcare services at US Med?
Well, one of the things that we've done in US Med and how we help is, and we've actually, as a company, we're proud to say that we are a transparent company. So everything we do, we do with how can we share information with our partners. It's not just about the transactional
Hmm.
piece of it. It's because we want them to see everything that is happening on our side to be on their side, so they can control their rentals, so they can control their equipment. What is important to us is not to get many rentals for one hospital and make money that way. What is important to us and what is the core of our business is that we place the right equipment in the right place at the right time. It doesn't make us any good to have equipment sitting in a hospital that is not being used by a patient that could be saving a life across the country.
Hmm.
So in order to fill that void or fill that part of the mission is you have to be transparent with your partners. And that's what we call them partners.
Right.
So as I would say, one of the things that we have done more than anything else in this world, in this industry, is that we are completely transparent. So our data is their data, and we try to be as efficient, as transparent as possible to for them to make the right decision. If we are doing the right thing for our partners
Hmm.
and they're doing the right thing for the patients, then our mission is fulfilled.
That's a very good baseline to measure the success of that. It's interesting you talk about the data. You've mentioned AI and large language models. I'm sure there's a lot of data that you have that you can rely on. How has data analytics played or plays a crucial role in healthcare? How do you think that's going to be further utilized in the coming years?
Actually, it is absolutely critical, especially in our environment. As I said, I mentioned before, the right equipment in the right place at the right time. So we we're very fortunate that we've been in business for a little bit more than 20 years.
Hmm.
And throughout those 20 years, we have gone through exponential growth. And through the last 10 years, we've been named one of the fastest growing companies by Inc.
Hmm.
magazine. So 10 years in a row, it tells you about the great trajectory we have as an organization. But at the same time, that means that we have a lot of data. And we're right now in the middle of a big process for data analytics because what we want to do, and it's been the theme of that last year and this year, is right equipment in the right place at the right time. We had more information in many cases than some of the hospitals on COVID because we were getting all these requests for life-saving equipment. We can follow the trends for what's going on with the flu or when with different COVID strains, and we have that information. So what we're trying to do now is predicting where the next health emergency will be. So we'll be ready to support those hospitals before they even know it.
Right. That's interesting that you have that insight and have the data and have the systems to be able to really utilize it. In IT, certainly in the development world, it's always about just-in-time access. For healthcare, it's even more important that stuff gets there at the right time. Because it's not like you could have, tons of things sitting on the shelf because people don't have the storage or there's special controls and everything else that goes into place.
And even you have things on the shelf, it doesn't help you that the life-saving equipment is in the West Coast when something is going on the East Coast, right? And you don't want to be shipping equipment across the country as well. We're a business. We don't want
Hmm.
to be spending fortune in shipping from across the country. We would like to make sure that what we are doing is planning our inventory and migrate our inventory as we see the need across the country.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You talked about the growth of the company and the history, but obviously, I'm guessing through that time, there has been a lot of organizational change. Change is never easy, especially in technology. With mergers and acquisitions, how have you approached integrating these new technologies in a growing and expanding business?
Well, one of the great things about this company, which is about the culture, is that we never treated mergers and acquisitions as one industry, one company winning and the other one losing. We actually believe in integration. So about what was July of last year, we announced the integration with Freedom Medical,
Okay.
a large organization specializing in the beds and surfaces market. We have some of the movable medical equipment. And I'm very proud to say that when the IT integration came and we look at the best technologies, we look at what they knew about the beds business, how can integrate in our system, and their knowledge and expertise on how operations work from the IT perspective and also from the business side. And then we brought all those people together. And I can tell you that I'm very proud to say that we are still one team.
Wow, that's good.
What happens with mergers and acquisitions, and again, if you see it from the winners and losers, you're going to miss some opportunities and great talent. The way we look at it is now we're opening new opportunities. Who is the best person to lead that opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
And bring that person in-house and make them feel at home because they're in the new home. It's as hard for them as it is hard for you, right? And so you know what they're feeling. You need to make sure that they're comfortable. And once you do that, you're going to see that people start talking more about business processes. They're talking more about the end goal, which is, as I mentioned earlier, the patient. And all the noise about who is where and who's that goes away. So it's a bigger mission than just the M&A we acquire or integrated the Freedom Medical last year, and I can tell you it was an amazing integration. We were able to integrate the MME business within 30 days.
Wow.
Uh,
That's pretty quick.
it is very quick, and the beds business would require new processes and changes in the technology and how we were dealing with certain things. We were fully integrated within 120 days. Some of the estimates I got from some consulting companies was 2 years. So
Yep.
for us, we didn't have time to wait for 2 years for deliver a service to or dealing with three different systems. It was better to where's the data, what's the best way to bring the data,
Mm-hmm.
how we improve the business process and execute. And when you have a mission and you have talented people, things happen. We have a great leadership. Our CEO is not a chief executive officer, he's a chief empowerment officer. And he changed his title because it's true. He empowers you.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that you can get the job done, and he's going to give you the tools to get it done. And that
Right.
changes the whole perspective of anything you do.
Yep. Yeah. And those large scale migrations, mergers, combining tech stacks can be done, with the right team, the right partners, a strong focus on getting it done. It is crazy to hear that consultants were quoting 2 years, because I've heard similar things, and you hear about companies merging and then never fully being integrated. There's separation, silo of information. It is great to hear an achievement of the scale that you've been able to do.
Well, my team is an amazing team, and they really work their hearts out to make it happen. But also, I come with organizations who have been in the M&A business for a long time, and you learn a few tricks. You tend to learn a few tricks. One of the tricks that you learn in this is that data is king.
Yep.
So if you know how to manage the data, adjusting the business processes or bringing the data to the right business process simplifies your M&A exponentially.
Yep. Yeah, that's very true. And that goes for whether you're trying to secure your business, knowing what you've got, who you've got, and certainly, having that discovery part of the M&A activity, knowing, where your data is, where it's going to be best to live, how it's going to be accessed, who's going to be accessing it, where it's going to be managed is all very key.
One of the things, keep in mind that when you bring the data, a lot of people try to reinvent the wheel. You already know who has to have access by business process.
Mm-hmm.
So give them what they need when they need it. And I can tell you that simplifies your all simplifies the process, but also eliminates all the noise around the M&A, because now you're concentrating what is really value driven.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and it is access the data. I've done a number of migrations from different platforms into Google Workspace, and people only ever care generally about where their data is. Not too concerned about the platform or the tooling. It's all access to their data and how they're going to be a knowledge worker in the new platform.
Absolutely.
So lastly, for those aspiring to lead IT initiatives in the healthcare sector, what advice would you offer based on your experiences and successes, including your achievements in driving operational cost savings and revenue growth?
Well, first of all, is be open to ideas. One of the don't just because you've been in the health industry for several years doesn't mean that everything has to be done the same way. Same as if you're in any other industry, right? So get the best of the different industries, because a lot of things actually make sense once you look at it from a different angle. Look at technology not for what they sell you.
Mm-hmm.
Look at technology for what it can do for you. If I'm going to say one of our biggest successes here has been, it's not looking at the technology how it's being sold, but what is the capacity and the capability of that technology to do what we need to do in order to be successful. You have to question everything in the sense of technology. Other thing, be truthful. That never fails. I mean, things are going to work, some things are not going to work. Let's not try to put a square peg in a round hole. But you have to be humble to say, I made a mistake. Yeah, and the other thing that I tell people, it's been driven my career for probably the last 10, 15 years, is make a new mistake. It doesn't make sense to make the same mistake if you change organizations and you go do the same thing. Find a way to make a new mistake, because that's how you're going to learn.
Right. Yes, it is. I've heard that in other places. You should be bold. You should not be risk adverse. You need to be, make those changes, make some mistakes, and I think the real learning from that does come with being able to how to cope with them, how to adapt and resolve those issues.
Well, I never seen anybody being successful by being fearful. In any part of history, I mean, you want to start with Christopher Columbus. He was not afraid to cross the ocean. You get the Apollo astronauts. They were not afraid to go into space. I mean, we're in IT. We should not be afraid to look at technology from a different angle. It's really not rocket science.
No, no. And it is amazing how many companies and some people in leadership do seem to be fearful of that change. And it does take great IT leaders like yourself to be inspirational and be bold and to make those changes. And what you've shared with us today is suitable for not only healthcare but for anybody who's working in tech. Very, very good sound words to go by. Well, I'm very appreciative of your time, Antonio. It's been great to talk to you, to find out about US Med, and I'm sure I know I'm going to have a better understanding and appreciation of healthcare technology the next time I have to go into a hospital or see a doctor, and I'm sure everybody else will as well.
Thank you so much, Colin, for your time, and to your audience for spending this few minutes with me. And also, if you go to a hospital, which I hope is not except for visiting, look at the equipment, see they have our logo, our RFID tags. We'd love to see you coming back to us and say, hey, I see you guys in action. But thank you so much, and I hope this 2024 brings you a lot of success, and to all our IT listeners, thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.